just wanted to tear this off just for a second. He said that it's Americans' duty to protect the sanctity of marriage. All of you have a complicated life. You're going to roll out of here tonight and get back to what you normally do. Sleep too little, work too hard for way too little money, go through horrible traffic jams and go to a job or a class. It's boring, but you got to get through it anyway. And so now you have another duty tacked on to everything else you need to do. You need to protect the sanctity of marriage, which means what? You're going to walk out of here tonight, and now that you know that you have to be sanctity monitor, what, do you post yourself on a corner? How's the sanctity over there? We're cool. All right, keep moving. I got my eye on you. I mean, I don't know. I don't really know what that means. So the president followed up with, we have to protect the sanctity of marriage. And also, we have to recognize that marriage is between a man and a woman. Now, that's the loaded thing for me. I don't know where this guy thinks he comes from. I kind of remember that he's an American. America, if you can't deal with this, maybe you should leave. America is the land of the free and the home of the brave. It's also the land of Devo, P-Funk, and the Ramones, okay? The fact that Kevin and Sean want to get married is none of your fucking concern. You know, your opinion about it does not matter. It doesn't matter. And as you know, humans are neurotic, water-filled sacks of neuroses. Life is short. It is a fragile thread. If you can find some happiness in your lifetime, do not walk towards it, run at it. If Lorraine likes Suzanne, so what? Isn't that great that two chicks dig each other, or two human beings have found enough common ground where they fall deliriously in love? Don't you wish it happened to you tomorrow? Hell yes. And so when you see someone who wants to deny two people that happiness, you wonder what compels this person to be so mean, to be so hateful that they don't want two people to get together. And so some people are against the idea of same-sex marriage. In fact, they're trying to ban it in the state of Massachusetts, and I guess the governor is like working hard to make sure those filthy queers have no fun whatsoever. And so I wish people would be honest. When you see the people who are against same-sex marriage, like people like Sean Hannity, you say, so Sean, what's the problem? Well, it's against the Constitution. Really? What part of the Constitution do same-sex couples infringe upon? Have you ever read the Constitution? Oh, of course. Really? How many amendments are there? When was the last time an amendment was added to the Constitution? Okay, so you're not really sure if the Constitution is taking a beating because Kevin likes Sean. Okay, so let's rule that one out. So what's the real reason you have a problem with same-sex marriage? God. God. What about God? Well, God hates fags. God hates fags. Did you ever see that written anywhere but on a sign held by some guy who finger bangs his daughter? I mean, what? I'm just telling you how it is, folks. So, you know, Arkansas, it's a rough room. And so, what would God have to have a problem with that? You know, I said, can we agree on a few things about God? Okay, and the guy's all pissed off now. We'll agree that God is all powerful. Hell yeah! Okay, take her easy. And God is all knowing, all seeing, and everywhere at once. Yeah! And God is all merciful. Yeah! Then could it be that maybe God put homosexuality on the planet to test your degree of tolerance for something that seems a little bit different to you? And that's when you just get punched out. Okay. The Rolling Rock goes right across your face and you're out for the count. And so I just think these people should cut the crap and just be what they are. If you're against same-sex marriage, don't hide behind the Constitution. The Constitution's a wonderful document. Don't hide behind God. Just be what you are. Put a big red H on your shirt and just say, fuck it, I'm a homophobe, okay? And run to the highest mountaintop and just scream at the top of your lungs, I hate fags. And don't think that you'll be ostracized from the community. In fact, you'll have millions of people who will look up at you like you're Zarathustra, like you're the voice of a generation. And they'll look up to you because you had the courage to speak out and say, God damn it, I hate fags. Dun-dun, it is Zarathustra lecturing from top of the mountain. Come down, Zarathustra, to all of your followers below in the valley. And if you think any same-sex couple wants to get together to somehow upset the apple cart of sanctity, do you really believe that there's people who really do think that these filthy queers, they want to get together to fuck up America? There's a handful of people who do. They think that Kevin and Sean look at each other over morning coffee one Saturday morning, and Kevin looks at Sean, and he says, Sean, I have an idea. Yes, Kevin. I want to see America in ruin. I want the American landscape to resemble the last days of Pompeii. I want coup and insurrection to scar the land. I want the skies to darken with locusts. Jeez, what do you want to do? Get married? Oh, I never thought of that. And the other day in Massachusetts, they had the anti and same-sex protest thing going on opposite sides of the street. And they whipped the camera to the pro-same-sex marriage side of the street, and the sun is out, and everyone's kicking hacky sacks, and the looks on their faces, everyone's so happy because all they are is in love. You know, you got death and taxes coming. A little love on the way, it's not so bad. And they have really funny signs. They're carrying signs, and you kind of want to get to know them because the signs are so funny. You know they got to be a riot to hang out with because the signs say, God likes me, yeah. And they whip the camera to the anti-same-sex marriage side of the street, and it's like buckets of rain. It's cold, miserable weather. And there's 4 shriveled up women holding unnaturally large crucifixes and mumbling to themselves, no, don't let the filthy queers have any fun. No, no. And some people have it in their minds that there's no such thing as homosexuality, that homosexuals are merely heterosexuals who aren't trying hard enough. That Kevin and Sean found each other's wangs because they're just looking for the remote and they just won't get up and get to work. You goddamn queers, you're just straight people who aren't putting your shoulder into it. It's unbelievable. And so you look at these shriveled up women and I don't want to be vulgar, but they've never had a finger or a tongue below their belt line. They've never had any fun. They've never had an orgasm. And look at the faces of these women. They all have one thing in common. They all look like Condoleezza Rice. A woman who's obviously never had an orgasm. I mean, look at her. The tightly clenched jaw. Like, God damn it. I take care of the president. I babysit a 4-year-old. But what about getting a little after work? No, no way. Hell no. For God and country, everything. And so she has no fun. And these women, they've never gotten off. And they're pissed off about it now because the parts no longer work. And so they see all these other people like, wah! They're all orgasmatrons across the street, functioning human beings. And so all these old ladies are really pissed off. And they'll stand there in the rain from 9 to noon holding crucifixes going, no, 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 I have no life. I can stand in the rain because I hate filthy queers. And they will leave the 9 to noon anti-same-sex marriage rally and go running downtown to go to the anti-Janet Jackson's teat rally. More hypocrisy you'd be hard-pressed to find. A few weeks ago, during the Super Bowl halftime show, as you know, little Justin Timberlake, a performer who's brought you such scintillating lyrics as Mamacita, I have feelings for you, and I want to rock your body. A guy who Rolling Stone terms, and I quote, an edgy performer, quote, there's a magazine you never have to read again. You can now be done with Rolling Stone. Just chuck it. Save the trees. Find something else to read, please. Just make sure you read all the time, but maybe not that magazine. If that's what they think about Justin, then music is truly fucked. If that's what they think about Justin, steal everything. Just steal it. Just steal it. He won't notice. In any case, so little Justin, during the choreographed dance move with little Janet Jackson, reached over her shoulder and for 4 horrible NBC primetime seconds had difficulty finding the huge ripcord on the custom-made tearaway bustier to unleash the teat upon the American consciousness. And so he's like, there it is. And America recoiled. Oh my God! A teat! Ah! Big blighted my skin, it burns! And little Justin said, I'm sorry, it was a mistake. He said his hand slipped. He didn't mean to do it. He had no idea. That was not on the program. You've seen the unveiling of the breast like 50 times on television. You know it was choreographed, and he's like, and finally when he finds it, he goes, and he even had a finishing move. He went, it was so choreographed. And there again, just say the truth. Virgin Records came to me. They said that Janet had a record coming out in 6 weeks. They got to do something to launch it because no one gives a flying fuck about Janet or her corny brother or her wacky family. And we have to do something wild. So they said, unleash the teat. Look, we made a bustier with Velcro. It works great. So you two go to a room, rehearse it. So when we hit prime time, now, a few days after the Super Bowl, Sean Hannity and Bill O'Reilly, the Fox News channel, are crucifying the tit. The tit gets more airplay than Janet Jackson's album will ever receive. All day, all night, week after week, all you see is the brown pixelated blob going, I'm trying to corrupt all of you. And so a few days after this teat was unleashed upon America, they had some kind of public decency hearing, and they had a woman in tears testifying as to how the teat destroyed her son. Like, oh my God, my son was watching Super Bowl. Remember this, football is a game, it's a blood sport. The basic thing about football is you pay some money, you stand in the with all your other psycho friends, and you look at these guys running around, and you don't go, oh, get him. Be careful how you tackle him, because if you get grouse stains in your trousers or blood, it's very hard to get out. People don't do that at a football game. They look at these guys and go, kill that motherfucker! And so she's letting little Bobby watch that, and then a breast comes out, and she's in tears like, my son, he saw it. How will I go on? The morality of this country is in the sewer. It's in the sewer. And Sean Hannity comes back like, my God. These liberals are out of control. Forcing breasts upon the American people. Oh my God, what will be next? Free speech? I wish this woman could hang out with me. I would bust open a can of Maxwell House coffee and force her snout into it and beg her to inhale deeply. The truth is, her son downloads the gnarliest shit off the internet every night of the week. The Donkey and the Girl live in Tijuana. You may not have seen it, but he has. The Pig and the Girl live from Amsterdam. I've not seen it. It exists. He's seen it. Little Paris Hilton and her boyfriend making love on the little night vision cam. Not only has he seen it, but he uses mom's computer to burn DVDRs of it, which he sells at lunchtime for drug money. And so, Mom better wake up and see that Janet Jackson's teat being dropped in the middle of the Super Bowl is not perhaps the worst thing to have happen to America. What's interesting to me is no one makes a beef about that 2.5-minute infomercial that all of you have seen. Around 2 in the morning, the infomercial for the Girls Gone Wild DVD set appears. Now, if you were from Mars or France, otherwise an alien to America, and you came here and you're jet lagging from your long trip, and you looked at the TV late at night in your hotel room and you saw the Girls Gone Wild infomercial, which is a bunch of tanned, skinny girls on spring break who seem to pull their tops off anytime they see a Yahoo with a digital video camera. You'd get a very strange impression of American females between the ages of 17 and 23. You go, wow, you just look at them and hot, tanned, blonde, skinny chicks tear their clothes off and start doing calisthenics in front of you. And that's what the infomercial is basically saying. We got some video cameras and walked around spring break, and here's what happened. These girls have gone wild. And they show you these girls like, look, there's a camera. And of course, the 2 pixelated breasts bounce up and down, and then the girl goes over with no top and she grabs her friend and goes like, look, I'll show you my friend's hot breasts. I take her clothes off. And her friend's like, wee! I love nothing more than showing you my breasts for free. Wah! Woo! Woo! And watch us touch our tongues together in hot, fako, non-lesbo action. You're looking at this going, oh my God, they even have a tour bus. You see these women all get out, like, there they go, they're out to go wild and tear their tops off. And so I don't necessarily have a problem with this. Well, I don't think it's the end of the world. But there again, I'm selfish. I have a real problem with it, actually. Where were women like that when I was 17? Motherfucker, what a ripoff! I was born in 1961, I was dating by the mid-70s. It sucked! And you think that you've known frustration in dating. You know fuck all of the pain that I know, the scars that I bear. Because you deal with women like, wee, wow, look at my piercings, ah! Here, hold on to my iPod, let's jump up and down. Here, grill me. We got nothing back in my day. Back in the 70s, you would go out with one girl, 470 consecutive Saturday nights, and get nothing. You'd walk around having stupid conversations about math and animals. Yo, a dog, I'm a dog. Dogs are... So what did you do in first period last week? Did you? And you'd walk around in circles in your neighborhood because there's nowhere for you to go. Then you take the girl home, and you'd walk home in blue-balled agony like, oh my God, just kill me now. Or you'd get let into the girl's house and you'd sit in her bedroom with your head smashing rhythmically against her bedpost as you listen to the same Jackson Browne record over and over again. And the only change in the action was the phone would ring and the mother's watchful eye would go, honey, telephone. And she'd run out of the room and get on the phone with her friend for an excruciating 12 to 15 minutes talking about Bruce Springsteen and his new album, Darkness at the Edge of Town. And you're there going, oh God, just put a fucking spear through my brain. And one night on the 558th date, lust and desire overcame me. It was a winter's night. I took the girl home. It was late, around 8:15. And I was wild inside. I was a wild maniac. And I was about to say goodnight, but I switched up and went, here I go. Tunk. Now you have to remember, this is a girl from Washington, D.C., and we all speak the same there. We have no accent whatsoever. We're future weather people. And she calmly looks down at my hand, assesses it, looks back at me, cocks her head and says, what the hell are you doing? I don't know. I think in American Graffiti they called it copping a feel. Did they? Yeah. Well, stop it. Okay. Good night. And that was it. She left, we no longer dated. And unfortunately for me, it was a down parka. So all I got was kind of this mound of feathers. Those lucky geese got so much closer to the breast than I ever did. And I just was like, and I just kind of, ow, ow, ow. And then thankfully, a few months later, the Ramones came and I was somehow saved. But it was really rough. And basically, the bottom line is I really hate that we operate under such hypocrisy, such apparent naked, hostile hypocrisy at all times where you're just like, wait a minute, that's bullshit. And you see it, we see it, we all see it. But how come more people don't do anything about it? I don't know. Anyway, let me, and there's the political part of the evening. Girls Gone Wild DVDs, huh? Anyway, let me tell you this quick story about an avant conversation I had. I'm kind of your neighbor to the south. I live in Los Angeles, California, Hollywood to be specific. Like I said, I'm an East Coast boy. I'm from Washington, D.C. And if you've ever been to the East Coast, some of you are from the East Coast, you're out here going to school or hanging out doing one thing or another. But you know how East Coast people are. We think too much, we talk too quickly, we drink way too much coffee, and we're far too opinionated for our own good. And you'll walk the streets of Washington, D.C. or Manhattan, New York, and you'll see people carrying like 90-ounce bongo cups of coffee, which they just inhale through straws, and they're either on their cell phone or screaming at the person next to them. No, I'm right. No, I'm right. No, I'm not. Fuck you. No, fuck you. No, fuck you. Awesome. When we're amongst ourselves, you take us out of that mix and drop us anywhere else, and we stick out. We look like we've been overcome by some kind of infestation of the mind. We look like we do our own stash of crystal meth instead of selling it to 9-year-olds. You know what I mean? You know what I mean. And so there I am, stuck in Hollywood, California, the place where the intellect and culture has gone to die. And why do I live there after a quarter of a century? It's where my cum-stained futon washed up years ago, and that's my only excuse. And so there I am, trying to function as an East Coast psycho in the land of the laid back. And perhaps you might find this offensive, but laid back people make me angry. Nice people make me nervous. I just can't take it. When someone goes, hey man, how are you? Shut the fuck up before I kill you. That's how I am. What are you gonna do? And so I live in Hollywood between tours, and it's excruciating because I just don't fit in. And so every once in a while, I go to the food store, stupidly. I go out into LA traffic, which doesn't move. You've been down there, it's horrible. And so after an hour and a half, I've gone half a mile. I should have just walked. And I walk into this health food store I buy all my food at, and I always get the same guy who just works on his hair. He's a hair guy. He's always like rolling his hair into these things. And I have my 12 food items, and he talks to me between scanning items over the infrared. Hey man. So I'm looking at your aura, right? And your aura has like a lot of red spiked with yellow, which means you have pent up aggression and hostility and overwhelming amounts of tension. So, like, how are you, man? And not like the you that like we see like in a magazine, but like the real you. I mean, the inner you, the you that has no walls, the you that has no boundary. The you that just wants to come out and just say, hi, I'm me. Accept me for who I am. I mean, how is that you? You're turning kind of purple, man. And your eyes are starting to bulge, and why are you trembling, man? I'm like, you little motherfucker. If you don't wring out the next 8 items of my food in the next 4 seconds, I'm gonna stab you in the fucking face like one of the fucking Manson girls. Let's go! Of course, the rest of the food is just hurled into a bag, and I get my provisions for free. So, why would I live in such a place where there's no place or no one to have a real conversation with? And to me, Hollywood is this place where everyone has come from other places to make it. They want to be Axl Rose or Pamela Anderson or, something that they could not be in Illinois. And so they went out there to realize a dream. And if you live in the middle of Hollywood, you'll see these people. They used to be in the hair band. Now they drive a UPS truck. They came out to be an actress. Now they act on a brass pole to a 9 Inch Nails CD. You know what I'm saying? I mean, like, people came in one thing, they found out the hard reality, and now there's something else, and it's intense. But there's no one really to talk to, because everyone is career motivated. They're talking about, like, who they're sleeping with, what couch they're being casted upon, and what series they're going to get, what's in development, and what they have over at Fox or Warner Brothers, and they just don't have anything that appeals to me. Not that I'm some kind of yardstick of knowledge or intensity or wisdom, but I get lonely out there because there's just no one to hang around with. And if you're a guy like me who likes women, you want to go out on a date every once in a while. And like a lot of you guys, you're tired of just going out on a Saturday night with the roofies and the duct tape to a shopping mall. Some people call it abduction. And my main problem with it's just so 80s. It's just been done. And in some places, a lot of places, it's illegal. And the conversation sucks. It's like, so, how do you feel about this? And you shouldn't do stuff like that. And so I go out on real dates, which is, it's a tragedy. You know how you guys are. You go out on dates and you don't know what to talk about. So you're driving somewhere and you have your hand on the wheel, and here's the female sitting next to you, and you want to say something. Now, one thing that guys fall into, and you women have been put through this, where the guy will throw out the topic that he knows everything about, so he can be king of the conversation, and you are just the person who seeks wisdom and knowledge from the almighty source who has his hand on the wheel. So the guy will say something like, so what do you think of the migrational habits of the snowy egret? Huh? Well, I'm glad you asked. The snowy egret can be found on the East Coast, around Delaware, Chincoteague, Assateague, places like that. Around September, October, you'll see them dropping some of their plumage. They get better lift as they go south to spend the winter in the Carolinas, sometimes a little bit more south of that. And in the spring, the female snowy egret will lay 1 to 3 eggs, depending on the local food supply, and the girl's eyes glaze over. And that's not the way to go out on a date. Another thing that guys do, I've done it, some of you guys have done it, you women have been put through this many times. The guy does the high fidelity thing to you, where he puts you through the battery of lists. Top 3 this, top 5 that, because he's trying to glean information as to your innermost workings by finding out what your 3 favorite foreign films are. And if he can find out those, and if he likes those films, then you're okay with him. If you think you can judge anyone by such shallow criteria, you're out of your freaking mind. And never do it. Okay, I always do it. I can't help it. I'm driving, and what can I talk about? Don't talk about snowy egrets, it sucks. And so my resolve wears down, and finally I give in. So what are the 3 albums you're listening to right now, like all the time? Well, I'm listening to the new Nickelback. Get the fuck out of my car! And tearfully, she leaves. The date is over. I guess I'm looking for a woman who reads, who thinks. I want a reader. I want one of them readers. I want a woman who can sit me down, shut me up, tell me 10 things I don't already know, and make me laugh. And if you can do that, I will follow you on bloody stumps through the snow. I will soften your mucklucks with my own teeth. And so you go out with a girl and you ask, so what are you reading? And there's a horrible thing that happens in this country. You meet people who don't read. Yes, they can read, but they choose not to. Like, so what book are you into right now? I'm not much of a reader. Huh? See, when I become president, I'm going to make the day 28 hours. It's going to be a 28-hour day. They're going to have to move some things around. It's going to be a 28-hour day. Why do you need 28 hours? Because you're going to be given 4 hassle-free hours in a well-lit room that's comfortable with a book. Cell phones off, and you're just going to read. And millions of Americans are going to fall in love with that thing that so many of us sitting in this room right now are in love with. There's nothing better than a great book, and you never want them to end. You see the book coming to an end, you're like, no. You start slowing down the rate of page turning. You read the words slower and slower. You put the bookmark back 25 pages. Whoops. Sometimes you have an author you like so much, you buy the new book, you put it on the shelf, and you walk by it for a year just looking at it like, I know you're there. And I can read you whenever I want. I'll just pat you. I'll just rub your spine. I could read the back cover. No, I'm not. No, I'm just gonna wait. Just knowing you are there to alleviate boredom, to take me on a wonderful journey. And for myself personally, if I could dig up 10 people who are dead, if I could hang out on an airplane with them for 14 hours and talk with them, there'd be a couple of musicians. I wouldn't mind meeting someone like Duke Ellington or Miles Davis or John Coltrane, but most of my heroes I'd like to hang out with would be writers, because to them, they to me are the most interesting. Like, how the hell did you come up with that? How did you make a novel? How did you make a book that kept me with you for 900 pages, for 500 pages, for 10 pages? How did you make that character so compelling to me that I see myself in it? How did F. Scott Fitzgerald describe a summer night where I can smell it coming off the page? And if only you could do that to someone else, you see why writers are such mean motherfuckers, because they try to do that every day. And most of the time they can't do it. And that's why, they're horrible people, So you're a writer. Yeah, I'm a fucking writer. Okay. He must be good, because he knows what a shitty job it is. And so there I am. Sorry, I got off the topic. There I am on the date with a girl. And so I'm driving. So what are you reading right now? He asked expectantly. I'm not much of a reader. I'm not much of a dinner buyer. Get the fuck out of my car! You're going. But every once in a while, it's different. So what are you reading? Well, I'm in the middle of a book right now that I really like. Oh my God, she's reading. So he asked with great interest, What are you reading? Hoping for dental charms. Lautréamont, Baudelaire, Kolebnikov. Who are you reading? Who are you reading? We can talk about books all night. Who are you reading? Oh my God. I'm in the third book of Harry Potter. Don't be an adult woman to be reading a fucking child's book in my car! Get the fuck out! It is obvious I'm going to be alone for the rest of my life. So, I'm sorry, I got off the topic. Basically, what I'm trying to tell you is there's not really a great conversation to be had in Hollywood. Or so I thought. I was wrong about that. A few weeks ago, I had the most dynamic, surreal, absurdist, poignant conversation probably with anyone I've ever had in my life. It was unbelievably strange. It was only 3 minutes in duration, but it was meaningful. I was at the office pretending to work. Mike, the road manager, said, "Henry, let's see your new video." We just made a video for a benefit record we've been working on for a group of young men called the West Memphis 3. And so, trying to get him out of jail, doing the best we can. And so Mike, the road manager, says, "So show me the video." And I said, "Okay." I go running around the office looking for the video, which I cannot find. And then I remember, it's at my house. So I'll be right back. Mike, I jump in my car, I go down the road and up the hill, and I walk into my house to find the video, jump in the car, and go back to the office and show it to him. I look out the back door of my house, which is glass, and I see a man, no hair, white shirt, brown pants, brown shoes, about 5'7", surgeon's gloves on, with a tool in his hand, working intently at one of my windowsills. There is an experience in this kind of thing where you kind of pause. It's a 1.5 second, what the fuck stillness, where you stand there going, whoa, am I dreaming this? Or is there a man in my backyard in broad daylight doing surgery on my windowsill with gloves on? And if that's true, what do I do? Do I leave? Do I go for the phone? I mean, what do you do? And so, what is this guy doing? Is he my window guy? Southern California has a lot of obsequious work. A lot of people that show up and do things and look at the ground and mumble, and you never meet them, and you pay them way too little for way too much work. Maybe he's a window guy. Do I have a window guy? I have window people? I have a window entourage. No shit. So what's he doing? Is he from Homeland Defense? Searching for Al-Qaeda cells? Because sometimes they burrow in the caulking between the pane and the sill. What's he doing? And so I'm trying to figure it out. And right at this time, he puts his tool down, he looks up, he smiles and waves at me and starts to speak. And the most insane conversation I've ever had in my life starts right at that second. He looks at me and says, "Hello! How are you?" Not that I've displayed this characteristic at all to you tonight. I am, in fact, a very polite person. And so my Pavlovian response is, "I'm fine, thank you. How are you?" And then I ask him another equally stupid question. "May I help you?" What the fuck am I thinking? He points at my neighbor's house. "Your neighbor let me in." My neighbor, bless her soul, passed away a few weeks before this man's arrival. And I saw the coroner taking the body away. And I never met this woman. She apparently was a shut-in, and she had a personal nurse. And I was told this when I bought this house years ago. And like, "Oh, your neighbor's an old woman. You'll never see her. She lives inside. You know, she has a nurse." I'm like, "Okay, you know, whatever." And so I actually met someone who knew this woman who passed away. I met the granddaughter who came down from the Pacific Northwest with a box truck to empty out the house of its furniture and whatnot. And one evening I'm at home and the door buzzer rings, and people don't come over to my house, so it's kind of freaky when the door buzzer rings. Like, what could it be? I open the door and I see the shape of a female at the gate, and I walk over there. I go, "Yeah, may I help you?" And she says, yeah, hi, I'm kind of working next door right now. The old lady, she passed away. I said, yeah, I saw the corner. She said, yeah, I'm the granddaughter, and I just came down here, and I'm moving out the stuff, and I'm going to be here for the next few days, so I just kind of want to tell you that, so if you see me, you know that, I'm not a burglar or anything. I said, okay, that's cool. She said, and I came over to ask you a favor. I said, okay, what can I do for you? She said, could you loan me a Valium? And I went, wow, how Californian. It's like all of a sudden I'm inside a Joan Didion novel, You're like, wow, what a California moment. I said, borrow a Valium? 'Cause I thought it was funny. I went, pfft. I said, lady, you couldn't have found the worst source for a Valium. And she looks at me and she's like, oh my God, oh, no way, I can't believe I asked Henry Rollins for a Valium. Fuck. What was I thinking? It's so insane. And we both started laughing about it, because to get a Valium out of me, I'm just not the go-to guy for drugs. But we had a good laugh about it. But in any case, this young woman told me that the old lady was 97 years of age when she died, and she still had her prison ID number on her forearm when she passed away. So she had a few interesting stories to tell, and I really sincerely wish I had a chance to meet her and shake hands with the woman before she passed away, but I didn't. So in any case, sorry, back to the man on the back porch. And so he says, your neighbor let me in. There's no one in that house. So I said, oh, actually, my neighbor passed away recently, and she was 97 years of age. So what are you doing on my back porch? He goes, well, you have a front door buzzer, right? I went, what does that have to do with anything? That's a non sequitur. What are you doing? 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 He's like, I said, I'll help you. He said, okay. And now, remember, this conversation is now in its second surreal minute. Okay, he's this far from me. I said, you're a burglar. You're breaking into my house. And he went, no, I wouldn't do that. And it took me aback for a second, because that's kind of a mean thing to call someone. Fucking burglar. I mean, it's mean. So I went, oh, I'm sorry. Then what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? He's like, and then he said the most hilarious thing. He said, let me in. Let's sit down. Let's talk about this. I don't have a gun. Be a man. I went, let you in so we can sit down and talk? He goes, yeah. I go, we're talking right now. He goes, well, be a man. I don't have a gun. Let's go. I went, wait. So basically you're saying, if I don't let you in, I'm pussy boy. He went, yeah. I'm like, you motherfucker. Oh, God, you're so good. I almost did that. I went, let's see some ID. He goes, all right. I don't have to show you any ID. I'm like, nerds. He doesn't, actually. So I said, how about this? How about I call the cops come over, I pull out my ID, they pull out their ID, you pull out your ID, and we have a get-to-know-each-other party in the backyard. What do you say? No, don't call the cops. I said, then tell me what you're doing. And he kind of ran out of bullshit. He goes, I work for the cable company. I go, you work for the cable company? I don't have cable. I have a satellite dish. He went, oh. And then he asked the most unreal question of the whole 3 minutes. Would you like me to leave the same way I came in? It is a yes or no question. But how do you answer? What if you say, no? That means he has to find an alternate route out. So what if I said no? He go, okay. No, huh? No means no. Okay, well, let's see. I've never tried this before. It might work, okay. There's no place like home. There's no place like home. Am I still here? Yeah, you're still here. Okay. I am Hassan! Am I still here? Yep. Okay. I'm going with my ancient brothers, and I'm going on a vision quest. I am riding the thermal currents on the wings of red-tailed hawks to see my brother the eagle in sky that goes over waters that mirror the sun. Am I still here? Yep. So he says, you want me to leave the same way I came in? I went, yeah, go ahead. And he went, fine, I'm leaving. He's indignant that I'm kicking him off the property. He goes, fine then. He runs like a motherfucker. So I run through the house, I grab the phone, I punch in 911 as I run through the house. I look down the driveway, the guy is $6 million manning it down the road, like, whoosh! And so the cops answer. I go, okay, you got my name and address. Check it out. There's a guy about 5'7", no hair, white shirt, brown pants, brown shoes, running like a motherfucker down the road. He tried to break into my house. And they said, okay, we'll take care of it. And they hung up. So I got an idea. I called Mike at the office. I said, Mike, go outside the office right now. See if you see a guy, no hair, about 5'7", white shirt, brown pants, brown shoes, run like a motherfucker down the road. And he goes outside. He goes, yeah, I see a guy. He's about 5'7", no hair, bright white shirt, dark brown pants, brown shoes. He's running west on Hollywood Boulevard. I said, that guy tried to break into my house. Mike says, I'm on it. And there goes Mike, taking off after the bad guy. I get another idea. I call the cops back. Hi, I'm the guy who called about the guy. Check it out. Now there's two guys. First guy, no hair, 5'7", white shirt, brown pants, brown shoes, running like a motherfucker. Second guy, big fellow, black hair, black shirt, black pants, holding a cell phone. First name, Mike. Responds to Mike. Don't shoot him. Shoot the other guy. And by the way, here's his phone number. Give him a call. Which they do. And it's from Mike's coordinates that the police helicopter that went right over my roof knew where to go. And so we've got foot pursuit, air surveillance. I hear, it's like LA, the video game. Play it now. And so I got the whole game going. We got sirens, we got choppers, we got Mike. And a few minutes later, Mike chases the burglar into a parking lot of an apartment complex, and the guy zigs and zags and disappears. So a few minutes later, 3 cop cars, 6 cops, and Mike, who got a free ride because he fit the description of this Mike character, descend upon my living room. So I'm surrounded by 6 huge cops and Mike, and the 6 cops are holding 6 notepads, and they have pens in their hand. They want to take down the report. So the cops are saying, okay, sir, can you describe this person to us? And I do what I always do when I'm within 100 yards of a cop from California. I just put my hands up, feet evenly spaced apart, and go totally passive. They go, sir, what are you doing? I'm not resisting you. That's what I'm doing. I'm not obstructing justice, and I'm not resisting you in any way. Okay, sir, well, thank you very much, but we just need a basic description of the subject so we can go out there and try and get this guy. I just want you officers to know something right now. Yes, sir, what's that? I have no weapons, sharp objects, or controlled substances on my person at this time. Okay, sir, thank you for that. But if you just describe this person. Sirs, if you will allow me, I'd like to go to my car right now. There again, inside the car, no controlled substances, no sharp objects or weapons. I would like to go get my registration and proof of insurance, which are in the glove compartment. So I would appreciate if you allow me to open the glove compartment and not be killed or otherwise maimed. I know that you people are sometimes maimers, and I just want to be careful. And they go, sir, we don't need to see your driver's license. We really just need this report. I go, officers, at this time, with your permission, I would be grateful if you would allow me to cross my ankles together, get on my knees, interlace my fingers behind my neck so you could easily handcuff me, and then you could easily give me the pepper gas and the taser. And I know it's coming. It's just the anticipation is killing me. Can we just get it over with? And they look at Mike and just go, what's his problem? He goes, I don't know, but I'm not obstructing either. So eventually they got I told them what the guy looked like, and they thanked me and they left. And we never caught the guy, but the conversation was excellent. I have bad luck. Why couldn't it have been a hot, like, cat burglar chick type in a form-fitting green cat burglar outfit with like little kitty ears and little whiskers drawn on her face, like, and a little tail, and she'd be provocatively half in and half out of my window, like, when I'd walk in, like, trying to get her abundant cleavage through the window, and I'd walk in, like, stop. She's like, oh, no. What are you doing, burglar lady? I was breaking into your house to steal your books of Kafka. The old translations, which infuses the Christian theology, which was not in the original manuscript, into his inherent humor, or the new translations that throw out the Christian theology and show him for the comedian that he was. The new translations, of course. No need to steal them. I will read out loud to you if you sit on my lap. But all I got was a lumpy guy with no hair who ran away. They all just run away. But the conversation was awesome. So, if anyone ever tells you that there's no good conversation down in Hollywood, now you know they're lying. Or they're just not trying hard enough. So anyway, one other thing. It's about this thing that happened recently, towards the end of last year. I did a tour for the USO that took me through Kyrgyzstan, Afghanistan, and Doha, Qatar. And I met several hundred young men and women from America, Australia, New Zealand, England, Scotland, Ireland, from the Air Force, the Marines, the Army, and the Special Forces. And I took the opportunity to go on a USO trip, even though my manager said, why do you want to go to the middle of nowhere to hang out with troops and cheer them up if you're so against the war? I said, well, I am against the war, but I draw, and we can debate this. Some people can't see a distinction. I myself do. I said, my problem is not with the troops. My problem is with the war and with the people who are commanding them into these unenviable positions of them to be in harm's way. And so my beef is with guys like Dick Cheney and Rumsfeld and Wolfowitz and Bush and Condoleezza Rice and people like that. Not with the troops, who are just people going where they're told. They can't really get out of it. And I'm sure they don't want to be there either. From the ones I talked to, I said, so what do you want most? They're like, I want to get the fuck out of here is what I want. And so I said yes. And Mike the burglar chaser, and I, we flew over there and we spent a week amongst all these people, and we learned a lot and we saw a lot. And we got out of there, and we find ourselves a week later in London Heathrow Airport in the duty-free area. It was so weird being there, having been on planet war for a week. When you're in Afghanistan, you realize that you're walking around the most heavily landmined country in the world. The UN estimates there's like 14 million plus anti-tank and anti-personnel mines. And we visited an amputee girl in a hospital at the Bagram Air Base, beautiful little Afghan girl with a missing left leg because she stepped on a landmine. And you see the Afghan people have been through a lot. The Russians chewed up that country pretty bad. The Taliban hasn't been too kind to them either. And so we're doing a lot of good humanitarian work there, and it's going to be a long and shitty time in Afghanistan, and all kinds of people who don't deserve it are going to get killed. And I think it's going to be easily a really horrible deal, this whole Iraq thing. And so knowing that American troops are going to be out in these parts of the world for a long time to come, and seeing that I'm 43 and they're like 19 and 20, and I'm over half their age, I said, I asked to go again so I could maybe cheer them up or make them laugh, which I somehow succeeded in doing when I was there. And so I said, can I go again? And USO woman said, no one goes twice except for Joan Jett, who apparently goes there fairly often. Good for Joan, she rocks. But I said, well, I'd like to go. She goes, why? I said, because the troops were cool. And they said really insane things to me, like meeting you has made my year. And that's so fucked up when you say that right near Christmas, because that means you've had like 11 and a half months to do better. How come you didn't? And you can say to me, meeting you has made my year. And that's cool if it's January 2nd. I'll let you slide. But anything past January 2, you're not working hard enough. And if it's like December 10th, I'm like, oh, pal, you fuck up you. In any case, I asked for another trip, and they said, okay. So Mike the burglar chaser and I should be, hopefully in a few weeks, we should be leaving here to Kuwait and Iraq for a week, and we'll see what happens there. Should be a pretty eye-opening experience. But because I am eager to see things that might not show up on the news, because we definitely saw things that don't show up on the news when we were in Afghanistan, that's for sure. Not like smoking gun kind of stuff, but just a lot of stuff that's not sexy enough to make the headlines. And so there's nothing like getting a chance to go out and walk the territory yourself. And so I'm going to do this again if we get the chance. You never know, they might change their mind and not let us go. But in any case, so I was at the Heathrow International Airport, and I was like 8 hours into a very long day of flights because of my final destination. My final destination, I'll tell you about. This is the story I want to tell you. I went from Doha, Qatar to London and onwards, responding to a phone call. They came into my office right around the same time I got the offer to go out and talk to troops for the USO. I got a phone call from a guy named Ben Folds, who's a musician. He has a band called the Ben Folds 5. He's a piano player, kind of an indie music guy. He bombs in this town, it's obvious, but he's a good guy all the same. But in any case, Folds called me on the phone. He said, Henry, I need your help. I said, okay, what can I do for you? He said, I'm making a record. I need you to sing on it. I said, if you need a singer, get a singer. I can't sing. He goes, I know. But I need you on the record anyway. I said, okay, well, if you look at the history of rock and roll, any record I'm on doesn't sell. He goes, I know. So I said, so what do you need me for? He says, well, I'm making this really insane record, and so I need you on there. I go, that's insane. He goes, yeah, well, so is the record, so I need someone insane who can't sing like you. I go, what record are you making? He said, I'm producing an album for William Shatner. So I said, oh, so what's the plan? He goes, the plan is there's no plan. The plan is you show up in the studio with William Shatner and something will happen. I go, that's it? He goes, that's it. I go, really? I go, you just roll the dice on Shatner and I having some kind of chemistry upon walking into the same vocal booth? He goes, yeah. I said, that's artistically dangerous because people these days just cover their ass when they make a record because they're looking at the stock reports. They look at what people are buying. They just don't make a record because they want to make a record. And they have music in them. They make a record because they don't want to fuck up. They want to make the right record. I said, that's so 1970s. That's so cool. And you want me to just walk in there and cook with William Shatner? He went, yeah. I said, oh, okay. Because like I said, like you know, life is short. If there's a few cool exits off the main highway, I say go, because the highway will always be there. The mediocre will always be there. Bad corporate TV shows will always be around. There'll always be another Ben Affleck film and another Stephen King novel. Don't worry, more and more keep coming out. He'll die, they'll just keep making him. Like L. Ron Hubbard, he keeps writing books too. It's the same line of bullshit. So in any case, if there's a weird bend in the road, groove on it, I say. So I said yes, but we had to book it because William Shatner was running out of studio time, so I had to go from Doha to London to Newark, New Jersey to Nashville, Tennessee in like 30 hours of jet lag, processed air, too much coffee, and way too many bad films in rapid succession. And so I get like spat out of the last flight like some 28, 30 hours later in Nashville, Tennessee, which is no bad place to be. It's a wonderful place. But on no sleep, it's utterly surreal. So I'm walking around Nashville, grooving on the fact that there's no landmines anywhere. And everyone's huge and well-fed and 6 feet tall. And they have mullets. And you can play with their mullets. You're the mullet man. You're mullet man. And so it's pretty interesting. And so I'm pulled away from the streets of Nashville, thrown into Ben Folds' car, and we drive to the studio. I walk into the studio, and like a coiled spring, William Shatner leaps out of his seat. Henry! Hello! I'm William Shatner! Just coming at you! 72 years old, has the energy of a 22-year-old. He's just like, wow! And so I shake the guy's hand, really cool guy. So Henry, we're making this album. It's really wild. I'm like, I have no doubt. Henry, the other day, we made a track. It's a rant, if you will. It's called I Can't Get Behind That. And it's a list of things I can't get behind. Ben, play him the track. Henry, listen to the track. Ben, play the track. And so Ben hits play, and all of a sudden you hear a drummer going wild. And William Shatner comes in. The price of oil goes down, yet the price of gasoline goes up. I can't get behind that. And it's like this 3-minute list of things William Shatner can't get behind. And the things he can't get behind are things I can't get behind either. He's right. That is to say, we agree. And it comes to an end. Henry, what did you think of the track? Well, I think it's amazing. Thank you. I think it's a Grammy winner. It's awesome. Henry, I was thinking maybe you and I could do a track just like that, kind of a drum and rant thing. I said, well, with all due respect, Captain, If you put two drum and rant things on one record, does not your record kind of roll lopsided and becomes the album known as the thing with too many drum and rant things on it? I never thought of that, but still, I think you and I should do something with we're just ranting. I said, how about this as an idea? You know, if you don't like it, I never said it. Since you already have this obvious gem in the can, what if you allow me about 7 to 10 minutes to write down a few hundred things I can't get behind, because I got a few. And we can fold the best of them into what you've done, and we can do a thing where you do one thing you can't get behind, then I do one, then you do one, then I do one, and it's these things that we can't get behind, a kind of call and response thing. Wow. Ben, hurry! Get Henry a pen and some paper. Henry, write down things you can't get behind! Aye, Captain. And so I set to work and I write down many things I can't get behind, and his personal assistant takes them from me, takes the 4 that were okay, and types them into the previously existing version, and we work on it for about an hour, and we massage it and manicure it, and we have this thing. You know, I can't get behind that, part 2. And so we wake up the drummer, we throw him behind the drum kit, we tell him what we're gonna do. He's like, okay, I'm ready. And Shatner and I go into this vocal booth with our handheld mics and our sheets of paper, and the drummer starts going, and Bill and I did I Can't Get Behind That 5 times in a row. It takes about 3 or 4 minutes to do it. So we're like screaming at each other at the top of our lungs in a tiny room for almost half an hour nonstop. And so finally the drummer keels over and passes out. Shat and I are like bucketed in sweat, bug-eyed from exhaustion, like. Ben walks in and goes, you know what, the last 3 were perfect. You guys nailed it. As your producer, I want you to stop. It's fine, we got what we need. Unless you guys want to do it all over again. Otherwise, I think you guys will really be happy with what we have. And Bill says, Henry, what do you think? Do you want to do it again? I'll do it as many times as you want. Why don't you go in and listen to him? If you're happy, we move on and do something else or nothing else or whatever you want. If you're not happy, I'll do it all day and all night until you're happy. I got, no problem doing it 50 more times. Well, that's great. I like what we've done. I think it sounds great. But I hear a guitar somewhere. Henry, do you hear a guitar? No. Well, I do. Ben, get me a guitar player. I want to try I Can't Get Behind That with a guitar. Okay, so Ben gets on the phone. I walk into the main part of the studio, and Ben's putting the phone down. He goes, okay, here's the deal. We're going to take a dinner break. It's around 7 o'clock. We're going to go out and eat dinner. The guitar player's going to come in, set up, listen to the track. We're going to come back from dinner, and we're going to do I Can't Get Behind That with a guitar player. I said, you have a guitar player coming in? He goes, yeah, he'll be here in about 20 minutes. I go, you made one phone call and you have a guitar player just coming in? He goes, yeah. I go, what, some session guy? He goes, not exactly. I'm getting a guy named Adrian Ballou. Exactly. For those of you who know the name, think about it. You've never been that high where you've ever been able to come up with Henry Rollins, Adrian Ballou, and William Shatner and a drummer on one track. Come on, think about it. You know, you've never been so spaced out like, dude, hold on a second. Here, hold this. Check it out. William Shatner, Adrian Ballou, and Henry Rollins and a drummer on a track. That is so fucking stoned. For those of you who do not know the name Adrian Ballou, you've probably heard the guy play. He comes from the Frank Zappa school, and he goes from Frank Zappa, he starts doing session work. He plays on a few Talking Heads records. Then he goes from the Talking Heads and starts doing records with some guy named David Bowie, and he does a few David Bowie tours. And then he becomes a guitar player for some band called King Crimson. Basically, yeah, the dude can play guitar like you can grow hair, eat lunch, and go into horrible spiraling credit debt. I mean, the guy can really play. I have every record he's ever done. I'm a huge fan for well over 2 decades, and so there's nothing I want more than to meet the legendary Adrian Ballou. So with the knowledge that Adrian Ballou is about to walk into this low building that I am currently standing in, I go weak at the knees. My hands become moist. I am unable to breathe through my nose. I become a wet-handed mouth breather, always seen at Trekkie conventions. So I'm standing like, oh my God. Adrian Ballou's coming here.
You know, a long time ago, I bought this K. Christmas bootleg. It's a 2 CDR bootleg, and like it's from July 31st, 1983, Rome, Italy. And 17 minutes and 51 seconds into track 3, Adrian Belew says something, and I'm not exactly sure what it is. And I've had email wars in chat rooms where I always debate this guy. I played virtual Dungeons and Dragons with him. His name is Beldor13. He will not reveal his real name to me. And anyway, we battle back and forth in chat rooms for like 17 hours at a time. And sometimes he relegates me to the 13th dungeon because he has the ball of light and I only have the ball of sticks and my file's corrupted. So when Adrian Belew comes in here, I'm gonna take photographs of all his equipment. I'm gonna ask him about this mysterious thing that he says 17 minutes and 51 seconds into track 3 of the July 31st bootleg from Rome, Italy.
Ben looks at me and says, "You're going to do nothing of the sort. You're not going to shake his hand with that wet, dripping paw of yours. You're not going to mist him with your saliva. And you're not going to ask him about any damn King Crimson bootleg or take photos. Are we clear?"
No, I'm not clear.
And so we're leaving the building to go eat dinner, me and Shatner and Foltz, and we open the door, and in comes Adrian Belew with a dolly with his gear. And I'm like, "Oh, you. And he looks at me like, "Oh, no." He's seen my type before. He goes, I know, I'm Adrian Belew, you're Henry Rollins, that's William Shatner, that's Ben Foltz, you're gonna go eat dinner, I'm gonna set up my gear and listen to some track called I Can't Get Behind That, and you're gonna come back, I'm gonna play it, and it's gonna be perfect, now go. Do not mist me, do not slime me, do not ask me about King Crimson bootlegs, and don't tell me about your friend on the internet, go.
Okay, sir.
And so we're walking towards Ben's car, and I asked Ben a question. I say, "Ben, how the hell did you get Adrian Belew to show up in one phone call to be on this record?" He goes, "Well, I live here in town. He lives here in town. We're friends, and he lives close to the studio. So I just called him. I said, 'Adrian, what are you doing right now?' And Adrian said, 'I'm just in my studio goofing around.' 'Why?' He said, 'I've got Henry Rollins, William Shatner, and a drummer here in the studio. You want a piece of this?' And Adrian Belew said, 'That's insane. I'm on my way.' And so we got Adrian Belew on board. And so now we're in the car driving towards the restaurant. I'm sitting behind William Shatner. I'm so excited at the prospect of doing a track with Adrian Belew and William Shatner at the same time. I'm such a boy. I grab William Shatner by his ears and start smashing his head into the headrest of the seat. "This is so fucking cool, Adrian fucking Belew, get off my head!" And so as we're driving to the restaurant, William Shatner drops the most amazing factoid upon me. He says, "Henry, my friend from the eastern seaboard, captures the best scallops I've ever had." And it made me understand at this point that I know precious little about the scallop or its capture. So how does one bring down the scallop? And what is the scallop like? How is the scallop built? Is the scallop a large aquatic predatory animal with fangs and claws that lurks furtively in the kelp looking for some animal to kill for food? And how does one bring down the wild and ornery lethal scallop? What kind of man or woman is right for the job? Some ex-Navy SEAL with a taste for the dangerous, strange occupation who utilizes watery stealth, state-of-the-art gear, some kind of aquatic ninja who walks silently across the ocean floor with a spear of aquatic stealthy silence using obscure hand language. Yay, we got ourselves a scallop. Is that how you do it? I don't know. But William Shatner goes on. So Henry, I've flown my friend from the eastern seaboard down here to Nashville with the scallops. He's going to meet us at the restaurant. The boy loves his scallops. So we walk into the restaurant. I'm walking behind him, and I watch every person in the restaurant recognize William Shatner, and I watch all their faces just light up. People love this guy. And he's walking by, people are like, excuse me, Mr. Shatner, call me Bill. How do you do? He's the nicest guy. He's nothing like we are. He's a Canadian. Friendly. No firearms on his person. So we sit down at this table that's been held for us, and I look across the table, and there's a man. Water dripping from his face, sand on his glasses, bits of seaweed in his hair. I said, are you? I am Scallop Man. You're from the eastern seaboard. I am. And at that moment, the head chef comes out of the kitchen with a basket of scallops. He says, Mr. Shatner, everyone, welcome to the restaurant. Sir, these are the finest scallops I have ever seen. And it's going to be an honor to prepare them for you and your guest tonight. I know. He captures them. Yes, I've met Scallop Man. And so the cook disappears into the kitchen. I guess scallops cook very quickly because a few minutes later he comes back out and the scallops have been prepared in a sauce and we eat them with pasta. And if you give me free food during wartime, I just, if there's 10 pounds of food, I'll eat all 10 pounds. I can't even tell you what the food stuff was. I just eat it. And so at that point, I learned there's a great lesson to be learned from William Shatner. Every time he puts a scallop into his mouth, his face is just, he's enraptured. Oh, that's the best scallop I've ever had. No, that's the best scallop I've ever had. Henry, what do you think of the scallops? I have the plate half in and half out of my mouth, leaning back to pour the food down my throat so I can just eat as much of it as possible, as quickly as possible, so I can eat all the rest of the food, go through all the breadsticks and bread, and then start stealing napkins and utensils, which I managed to do. I got 1 fork, 2 knives, a napkin, and I almost got the tablecloth, but I was leaving a little bit of a tail of it, and the guy just kind of held onto it as I walked out, and he kind of held onto it. So in any case, we leave the restaurant, very quickly after we eat, and we run back to the studio where the legendary Adrian Belew is set up and ready to rock. I grab my camera. I take photos of his pedals. I take photos of his Stratocaster. I take photos of his face. I poke him. I ask him questions about King Crimson, and he's a really nice guy. He suffered me fairly well, and so he was cool. And then Shatner and I go into the vocal booth, and the drummer wakes up and gets behind the drum kit, and Adrian Belew is ready to rock, and all of a sudden it's on, and we do 3 versions of I Can't Get Behind That with the legendary Adrian Belew screaming over the top of it, doing all those great Adrian Belew sounds that he's so good at that we love him for, like angry rhinoceros wounded in crashing airliner going into sporting event, wounded elephant on angel dust taking over shopping mall sound. You know what I'm talking about. So it's just like, meanwhile, I can't get behind that. It's insanity incarnate. So it's like this wild, glorious caterwaul, and we do it 3 times, and we're dead tired. And Ben comes and he goes like, we've got it. They sound amazing. You're done. Congratulations. It's a dynamite track. And so we come to the end of it, and I shake hands with all my new friends, the wonderful Ben Folds and the mighty Adrian Belew, and of course the captain, Mr. William Shatner, and I get back in a taxi cab and I go back to the hotel, and I spend the night, and the next day I fly back to Los Angeles, and my year ends. And a few days later, this tour started. And so it was an interesting way to end the year. A few days after I finished doing the thing with William Shatner, I get an email from his assistant who said, Bill had a really good time with you. He'd like you to come over for Monday Night Football next week. What do you say? And I write back, I said, well, tell Bill I had a great time hanging out with him. He's an absolute smash hit guy to hang out with. But I'm not the best guy to watch football with because I don't even know what a halfback does. Because when young men were learning to play football and do all that stuff, I don't know, I just didn't get the hang of it. So I just relegated myself to my mother's living room where I read all of her poetry books, all of her E.E. Cummings and Dylan Thomas, hoping to somehow absorb the books and maybe catch a sympathy fuck later on by being, a sensitive, artistic young lad. It didn't work. I got the books read, but I never, all I got was Goose Down. It sucked. And so I said, I'm not the best guy to watch football with, but thanks anyway. And she writes back, she goes, it doesn't matter. It's not really about the game. It's just, people like to hang out, and Bill has great friends, and there's lots of free food. I'm like, what time? What's the address? I mean, free food. I will hip check Rosie O'Donnell away from her food trough for free food. And you know her on feeding time. You could lose a finger to this woman. I mean, it's no joke. And so I go over to his house a few days later. He lives down the road from me. And I park my car in a driveway. I hope it's his driveway, because Southern Californians, they're still shook up with that whole helter-skelter thing. So if you're a stranger on someone's property, you're gonna get killed. And so I get out of my car, I don't see any cars parked. I'm like, okay, I've easily screwed this up, because I can't find anywhere. So I'm looking around, how will I know if I'm in the right place? It's quiet, big piece of property. I look into the garage, which the doors are up, there's 4 cars parked. And inside the garage, I see paintings of William Shatner in a row. Kirk, T.J. Hooker. And I go, this must be the place. And it's not like he commissions paintings of himself. No doubt he has a lot of fans who paint paintings of him and go, Mr. Shatner, I spent 970 hours painting this and I want you to have it. And if you could put it up in your house, it would be an honor. And he's such a nice guy, he can't throw them out, so he puts them up in the garage, so they're kind of up. And it's not like you'd want to put a painting of yourself up in the house when it looks like you have a head that's like, rhombozoidal and a goiter coming out of your neck. I mean, these things look a little skewed. He doesn't look skewed at all, but the paintings are a little avant. And so it might not be the best thing for the living room unless everyone was on acid. You know what I mean? Or thought they were. In any case, so I go, okay, I'm in the right place. And so I walk up these stairs, and I see a glass door, and I look inside. It looks like a very nice living room. This is obviously the place. I grab the doorknob, and I'm about to push the door in when a Doberman Pinscher, the size of a Shetland pony, comes lunging at the glass, like one of those older ones that have like broad shoulders that you can throw a saddle over, that have like a neck the size of your upper leg, with like, white foam coming out of his lower jaw. He's like, basically saying, I wish you'd come in. I'm like, no! And so that can't be the way in. So I'm wandering around and I hear what sounds like human voices up a flight of stairs in what looks like a refurbished garage space. I walk up the stairs, I open the door a crack to see all these people, a football game is on, and William Shatner is amongst them. And I'm very shy, believe it or not. I'm crass, yes, but I'm also shy. So I stand at the edge of the door, I'm like, Bill, I can go, I'll come back. And right at that moment, he goes, Henry, come in. Hey, everybody, this is my new friend, Henry. Henry, come in, meet my friends. And his friends are all really cool. They're very nice people. I'm meeting them. So, Henry, how do you do? I'm like, oh, I'm fine, thank you. How are you doing? I'm fine. And they're very nice. And he brings one guy up, Henry, this guy works in radio. He can get your albums on the radio. No, he can't. So I meet everybody, and it's really cool, and I find like 8 pounds of food. I stack it high on a plate, I grab a soda, and I squirrel myself away into a corner to eat mass quantities of food while this game goes, and people are going, oh, ho, ho! And I don't know what's going on. I don't even know what team, I don't know anything. And so I'm eating free food, and it's not so bad. And every once in a while, William comes over, Henry, I notice you're not mixing with anyone. So do you want me to reintroduce you to everybody? I was like, no, I'm cool. I'm just kind of, I'm a weird guy, artist. And he's like, okay, well, whenever you feel like being part of the thing, just come on over. He's like the nicest guy. And I'm uptight, so I'm in the corner. And then more people keep coming in. And I notice someone I recognize walk in. In comes Ben Stiller. who I'm a huge fan of. I think that guy's funny as a motherfucker. And I kind of know his wonderful wife, Christine, because I did an independent film with her a few years ago. We had some really funny moments in this film. She's a very nice lady. And so they walk in, and I'm like, oh, cool, man, Ben Stiller. Yeah, the guy's all right. And, of course, William comes over, Henry, this is Ben Stiller. I'm like, hey, man, big fan. He's like, yeah, I'm aware of you. No, not at all. He's completely cool. He's as cool as you figured he would be. And he and his wife sit down, and we get to talking. And I said, Ben, what are you doing here? And he goes, well, I did a film with Bill a few weeks ago. We did an indie film. Bill's in it. He's amazing. And I started getting these emails to come over from Monday Night Football. So we started showing up. It's really cool. He goes, what are you doing here? I said, I did a record with him a few days ago in Nashville, and I got this email to show up for Monday Night Football, so I'm showing up. And he goes, do you think we're becoming indoctrinated into some kind of cult? I said, let's hope so. So hopefully next season I can go back there and check it out. So anyway, it was an interesting evening. It was an interesting track. And I guess this record comes out any minute now. But it was really cool hanging out with Bill Shatner. He's a wonderful guy. But in any case, so all that happened, and then the year ended, and here I am out here in front of you, where I should be, on stage every night, going across the land. And let me leave you with this. I'm done with you in about 180 seconds or less, and soon blood will be pulsing back into your ass cheeks, and you'll go like, thank God he shut his fucking mouth. And so anyway, you know what time it is. It's 2004, and you know what happens in November. It's an election. I'm not going to tell you, I'm not going to demand, I'm not going to ask. At this point, I'm just going to beg. Please vote this year. Some of you are not registered to vote. Oh, it's too difficult. No. Not difficult at all. You can, if you're a student here, you can find multiple places to sign up and vote. If you're not a student or otherwise not anywhere, there's always a post office. You can walk in, name, rank, serial number, send it in, and a few days later, you're a voter. The registration certificates are right in there, and you can say, well, I don't have an opinion. No, you have many opinions. You're factory installed with 80 million opinions. If you are somehow defected and you only have 79 million opinions, go stand anywhere outside and be still for 4 seconds, and millions of opinions will be given to you for free. They give them away for free every Sunday like kittens at a church bazaar. But I'm not informed. Then get informed. Go on the internet, find some friends, dissent, discuss, disagree, watch the news, and figure out where these people want to take your country. There is a war on. Young men and women are being chewed up every single day in this thing. And why? Well, there's a lot of opinions, but it's an interesting to check out. And so why would you want to vote? Here's why, in my opinion. This is your time. This is your country, and it's now. And if you don't want to vote, well, I hate them both. They all suck. Well, can you dig the idea that perhaps it's possible that you're never, ever going to like a president, he or she? You're never going to like a president as much as you like your favorite rock star. You're never going to be able to look at the president on TV and go like, the president rocks! It's just not going to happen. Okay, so you're going to have to reconcile yourself to voting for the person that you like the most or hate the least. The person that will be least likely to get you blowed up in the next 4 years. And if you, maybe take a tip from me. I never vote for someone. I vote like Joe Strummer taught me how to vote. I vote against someone. I vote in protest. It gets me up, okay? I'm voting because I don't want one guy in the office. I'm voting to get someone out of the way so something else can happen, another possibility. And so why do we have a misogynist, ass-grabbing freak, corny actor being the governor of the state of California, a state that needs a lot of help? Why? Apathy, that's why, because only 40-some% of Californians vote. And that's the only reason a guy like that becomes the governor. I mean, how corny is that? And I had an idea how to abruptly get California out of debt. We have a lot of land here in this great state of California. Well, it can't all be grapes all the time. So some of it grapes, wine, good money there. And the rest of it should be poppy and marijuana. So think about it. California could get out of debt in about 6 weeks. porn, narcotics, marijuana, and good wine. Oh, and it's cheese country. This is a no-lose proposition. Then California could dominate all of America. It could be the biggest cash cow state of the flat 48. Someone's got to get a letter into Schwarzenegger. Dude, it's easy. Porn, junkies, and stoners will save you. You never thought a porn star would right the wrong, but there it is. Of course, I'm just having fun, but it's an interesting idea. But like I said, this is your year to vote. And please do not underestimate your own potential. And please do not operate under this misconception that your voice and your vote are not important. They are indeed incredibly important. And this is a really nice place. And there's going to be a lot of really heartbreaking headlines coming our way in the next several months. I mean, there's going to be a lot of American dead coming back. There's going to be a lot of horrible stories, hostages being taken, executions you'll be able to download on an MPEG. It's just going to be really bad. And so no matter what you see and what you hear, don't let it depress you to the point where you go paralytic with apathy or repulsion. Just keep in it, stay on the game, keep your eyes on the prize, and never give up on America. Because like I said, P-Funk, Devo, and the Ramones are from here. Thanks for having me, everyone. Good night.
Thanks.